Welcome to episode 4 of the Unorthodox Vegan. My name is Sean Gold. In today's episode, we're going to learn how to make hummus. Now, in order to make hummus, you just need some basic, simple ingredients. First off, you need a can of chickpeas. Now, you can buy the dried chickpeas and soak them overnight and all that kind of stuff, but frankly, I'm lazy. I like buying canned food. Plus, I'm not really one of those people who worry about apocalyptic, kind of folks that worry about the end of the world. But I do like to make sure that we have enough stuff stored in our pantry to make sure that we have enough food in case there's some sort of natural disaster we have to deal with. So one of the things I like to have is chickpeas. Good protein in there, handy to have around. They don't go bad. They last forever in a can, as you know, most things do. That's one of the key things I like in there. Dried chickpeas will also work well. You just have to soak them in water. But again, I like the canned ones. It works for me. So chickpeas, number one ingredient. Number two ingredient is tahini. Now tahini is like a puree made out of roasted sesame seeds. So it's a sesame seed paste. It's really easy to get. You can buy it in the local stores. I go to Bulk Barn. One of the things that I love about buying from Bulk Barn, which is bulk foods, is that I can take in my old containers, and just refill them. Wash them out first, clean them up, make sure you take them in there. They weigh the containers in advance, you fill them up, no plastic waste. So a lot of the stuff I use is just recycled plastic materials that I have. It's already used, no sense throwing it out. So I do that. The tahini is the number two item. And aside from that, you need a little bit of lemon juice. So I have a lemon here that I'm going to be squeezing, some salt, a little bit of ground cumin, and some olive oil. You need to have a little blender. Nothing needs to be cooked. Really simple and easy to do. Are you ready? Okay, let's get started. First off, we're going to take the can of chickpeas. We're going to open it up. I'm going to change the angle of the camera so you can see what I'm doing. Hopefully this will work. Let's see if that'll work. You can see what I'm doing. Get the cord out of here. All right. We're going to take the can of chickpeas. First off, we're going to do is we're going to open up that can. Really simple and easy to do. Just make sure you have a proper can opener to do it. Now, the can doesn't always cut open properly, and I can see it's got two little notches there. It's going to go around a couple times, and that's not going to get completely off of there. Now, there's a lot of liquid in there. The liquid is valuable and useful to have. So I'm going to take that liquid, I'm going to pour it off into another container. I save that liquid. Another name for this liquid is aquafaba, which is the water from the beans. And that is really handy if you're a vegan and you want to use, you're supposed to use egg whites somewhere. The egg whites, the alternative or replacement for egg whites is aquafaba. So this is really handy for that. It will whip up as well. Add a little sugar to it and you've got your own whipped cream. So it's very powerful. You can use that. So I'm just going to put that aside. I'm going to clean up my mess because I always clean up after myself, much to my wife's approval. So now I have that separated out. I'm going to open up this can lid without cutting myself. Get a spoon here. Open that up. And that's ready to go with that. Now, the first thing to do, though, is we're going to take a measuring spoon here. Let me get my measuring cup. And I need to have a quarter cup of tahini. So I'm going to take the tahini. I'm going to put it into this container in a moment. Before I do that, I'm just going to stir it up a little bit, make sure that if there's any lumps in there that are all taken care of. Just making sure it's nice and smooth. No big lumps to deal with. And I'm going to take out a quarter cup of tahini. And that's about a quarter cup. Quarter cup container, it's a little overflowing. That's perfect. Take that, I'm going to put that into this little bowl here, or this little cup I'm going to use to mix with. Get that in there. I'm going to get one more little tool to work with here. Because one of the things I should have brought with me is a spatula. A nice little spatula is perfect. A little rubber spatula is perfect for clearing that out. Makes a nice clean image. Get that all done. Okay, so we need a 1/4 cup of the tahini, and I'm going to mix that with a 1/4 cup of lemon juice. So let's get the lemon juice going here, which should be the juice of 1 lemon. Let's go with that. Let's get this out of the way so you can see what I'm doing here. Just squeezing this thing in this little juicer. And this lemon was in the fridge, so it's a little bit firm. I'm going to take that juice out, separate out the pits so I don't get the seeds going in there. Got any pits in there? I don't think I did. That looks good. And I'm going to keep doing this juicing a little bit. Make sure I get all the juice, as much juice as I can out of there. I'm going to do it one more time. I don't like wasting. That's part of the thing about being a climatarian is I hate waste in food. So whatever I can get out of here, I'd rather get out and not have to throw anything away, including the pulp. I love the pulp of a lemon. Let's see, I think I got as much of that as I can. I'm just going to take that out of the way. Take that seed out of there. And one more seed. Okay. And pour that in there. So now we have the juice and the tahini, lemon juice and the tahini. Next up is to we're going to mix this up a little bit. Just so we get a little bit of a puree happening in there. So it's got that separated out, and that's really nice. Now I forgot to do one thing. Now if you look at that, it's nice and oops, we have to get that under the camera. It's a nice smooth paste. It's already happened just by doing a very simple amount of just whipping it around with the spatula. All right, now I did forget to add a couple of things to the list, so let's get those out right now. Always need garlic, and you should always have garlic handy. You can never go wrong with having garlic in my house, at least that's what I believe. I'm just going to cut off the heads of this garlic. Wasted a bit of garlic there, I'm not doing that. Get that. One of the tricks about garlic is that it always says to be pressed and minced. One of the things they do is take that, give it a good whack with the flat blade, and I love this knife that I have. I'm going to do that for all these pieces for a couple of reasons. One of them is it makes it really easy to peel. I'm going to take the skin off. You don't want to have the skin in there. Get as much of the garlic out of there as possible. Get rid of all that skin because the texture really messes up your cooking. So let's get as much of the flesh out of there as possible. Get rid of that skin again. And get that organized. I love the smell of garlic. Such a nice full-bodied flavor or scent in the air. So it smells so powerful. You can see why it's a deterrent for vampires. Now I got this. Look and make sure I don't have any more skin in there. I'm going to do a quick mincing that up with a knife. I'm using a glass cutting board here. I know my daughter likes the wooden cutting board, and I like the wooden cutting board, and I usually use it. I had a problem with it warping, and I don't like that. I've straightened it out, but I thought for this today anyway, I'll use this glass cutting board because the nice thing about a glass one is it's nice and perfectly flat, and I seem to be able to get a nice cutting on that. Okay, so I've got my minced garlic. I'm going to be processing it a little bit, so it doesn't have to be perfect. A little bit of skin in there. Don't want the skin in there. Dang. And put that in there. Mix that in. All right. Give myself a little rinse here. And get rid of some of the scraps. In my compost bin, I always keep a compost bin handy, and I live for compost bins. I'm just going to mix that around a little bit. Then I'm going to put in 2 tablespoons of extra virgin olive oil. So I'm just going to eyeball it. I'll call that 2 tablespoons. And a little bit of salt. And it's supposed to be about 1/2 teaspoon of salt. I'm using a smoked, what's it called? Smoked fine sea salt. Like that. 1/2 teaspoon. Let's go with a little bit less than that. There we go. That should be about right. You can always do it by flavor later. And mix that in again. And a little bit of cumin. Now this one is only about a 1/2 teaspoon of cumin as well. So we're going to put in a little bit of that. And away we go. You put in more or less to your taste. Mix that in a little bit as well. All right. Now we're going to put in about half the chickpeas out of this can. And now we're going to bring out the immersion blender. Now I love an immersion blender. They're so much nicer to work with. I just love it. They do make a lot of noise though. My wife hates the noise sound of the immersion blender. So giving that a good mix in there, getting it blended. It's a little thick, so I'm just going to move some stuff around, make sure I got the big chunks done. And I'm going to put the rest of the chickpeas in. Here we go. Now it's really thick, and this is expected, so don't worry about that. It should be nice and thick at this point in time. So we're going to thin it out in just a moment. I just want to make sure I get most of those chickpeas blended in there. By the way, there was a debate about whether you peel chickpeas before you put them in. I've done the testing myself as to whether to peel the chickpeas before you put them in, and I got to tell you, it doesn't make that big a difference. So why do it? Why worry about it? Now, I have drained off the aquafaba from this can. I put it into this container here, so I have that fresh, nice, right out of the can. But I also have stuff that I have kept left over. Again, I like to keep aquafaba in the fridge, just the leftover stuff, just so I can have it around if I ever need to have a white or an egg white supplement. And so I keep it around. So I have stuff that I drained off before. I'm just going to add a bunch of that in there. And now I'm going to process it again. Now, some people like their hummus thinner and creamier. Some people like it thicker and tastier. It really is up to you. So I just do it by gut. What I like. Now that's just about done. It's going to take a little bit, check on that on thinness. I find that it does dry out a little bit over time in the fridge, so I'm going to put in a little bit more liquid just to lighten it up a little bit. Now you know what to fill that up. There you go. right. Looks like we've got it. It's a nice texture. You can see it's nice and creamy. It's thick, but not too thick. So I'm just going to take that, clear that off of there. Get this, save as much of this as possible. You don't know what I do afterwards. When I still have to clean some of this off, I usually do a quick taste test on it, but I won't save you from that while I'm cleaning this off. Well, I will still do it, but I'm not going to make you see it. So I'm just getting that all cleared off of the blade in here. And saving as much of that as possible so you don't waste anything. As a climatarian, I think that wasting food is an absolute sin. So make sure you eat it before it spoils. Don't let it spoil. But if it's about to spoil or starting to get ripe or inappropriate or unhealthy to eat, then before it gets to that point, eat it. And only if it's reached that point and you weren't careful about it or you just couldn't avoid it, only then do you throw it out. So there you go. Nice. Great. Okay. But this isn't quite finished yet. So now we have to do two more things. One of them is, if we're going to serve it, we want to make sure it's in a right container to serve it in, or right. It's served in such a way that it actually looks nice to serve. So I'm just going to take out a container, and we're going to put this in. I think we need a little bit more salt. I am going to do a little bit more salt. Not quite that much. All right, put that in there. I do this a little, working this thing around. Make sure we get a little bit more salt in there. Don't like it too salty. I know my wife doesn't care for it being really salty, but I like to have it just a little bit salty. I like it just that little bit of flavor, extra flavor. Okay, now put that into the container here. Now, I don't know if you know what to use, if you know how to serve hummus or what to use it for, but it's a great dip for veggies. You can slice up some peppers, some bell peppers are nice for dipping in there. Carrots are nice for dipping in there. I was just having some earlier, so that's why I ran out of my my hummus. And whatever firm vegetables you got, fresh vegetables, it's always great. So this is, because I can finish cleaning this off later, getting it out, making sure I get as much of that out. Again, don't want any waste, hate throwing out food, big mistake, a sinful thing, throwing out food. Okay. There we go. Okay. Now that looks pretty good. Take a look at that. Nice and creamy looking. One more thing. This is smoked paprika. I love smoked paprika. It's a nice little, adds just a little bit of flavor to it, extra little flavor to it, but it does something else that's really nice. Just sprinkle a little bit on top, and it just has a color that pops and makes it look so inviting and so delicious. So there we have it. Now, I'm going to get a carrot stick. There we go. Let's wash up the carrot. Let's try it. See how this goes. See how it goes. I got this nice little hummus. Nice big dish of hummus. Oh, perfect. A little extra salt just did it. It made it just perfect, absolutely perfect. I could eat this all night. There you have it. This is episode 4 of the Unorthodox Vegan, and this is how to make hummus. For more information, you can always email me. My email is on the screen. And please follow me on YouTube, The Unorthodox Vegan. Until next time, I'm Sean Gold.